Hi guys, my name is Akrizi and this is the Movie Critic. Anikulapo, The Rise of the Spectre is one of the most anticipated Nollywood movie of the year 2024. Kunle Afolayan is back with an epic and indigenous movie. The Anikulapo series is a sequel to its prequel that was released in the year 2022, produced and directed by Kunle Afolayan. I was surprised to see Layi Wasabi in the movie. He's really doing well for himself. I was just surprised on the character he played. R.I.P. to Sisi Quadri, he died in the movie. It was part of the spirit following sorrow after his demise. And in reality, he died around the time Anikulapo Season 1 came out. Sadly, he couldn't eat the fruit of his labor. Rest in peace to him. Other amazing actors who starred, including Kunle Remi, who played the sorrow character. We've got Sola, Sobowale, Mama Di Mama. She played Awarun. We have Bimbo, Ademoye, played Arolake character, and others. That's just to mention a few. Anikulapo is an epic and indigenous Yoruba movie, and I like how they depict the old age. Even though it doesn't speak enough of the old Oyo Empire, don't be fooled. That's not the focus and the motive of the movie. They legit used proper traditional attires and ornaments with huts as their houses. The set design was amazing. The set design cut across to the food, the heads in the movie, the dishes, and every other thing you can think of. In order to better review this series, episode by episode, it would be good to check where the series was coming from, as it has a prequel prior. Now, this is going to be a review for episode 1. You should anticipate episode 2. This movie tells the story of Saro, played by Kunle Remi, who has recently arrived in Oyo as a stranger and a traditional textile weaver. Saro got into town and was chosen by a sugar mummy. From there, as if that wasn't enough, Saro got into an illicit romance with Queen Arolake, the latest and favorite queen of the Alaafin of Oyo, played by Bimbo Ademoye, who has an unhappy marriage because she's hated by the king's wife and is also uninterested in the king, but it is a sacred duty to lay with him. She is also young and uninterested in the old king's constant attention. His favoritism brings up rivalries with the other older queens who mistreat her. She and Saro fell in love. As they make plans to elope, word of their affair got to the king, who sentences Saro to death. Based on the mythical Akala bird, which wakes him from death, Saro, through the astute actions of Arolake, gained the power to resurrect the dead through a god stolen by Arolake, and earned the name Anikulapo, which means one that holds death in his pouch. As Saro becomes popular in their new village Ojumo, he sets amorous eyes on other women and betrays Arolake. His excessive pride in his hubris as he begins to make inordinate demands from the villagers before he can raise the dead. When Arolake hears about Saro, that he has asked for the king's daughter before he can restore life to the king's heir, she undermines the source of his power and deserts him. Saro fails to resurrect the prince and discovers he no longer has the power to tame death. This made the king of Ojumo village to sentence him to death once again. Now that you've gotten a proud knowledge of the Anikulapo prequel, let's now nosedive into the Anikulapo series. This is a review of the first episode, just like I said earlier. Now, after Saro's sudden death, he found himself in a realm between the land of the living and land of the dead. He joined the queue headed towards the boundary to the land of the dead to meet his fate, where he was challenged by the person in charge. He was confronted of his doings while he was on earth, using Akala's power to raise the dead. He was told to go back to kill everyone he has ever raised from the dead. In his quest to kill everyone he has ever raised, he found a way to become a living being again, and he took the chance. He went to another town to settle down and start living a new life. He became a popular rich palm wine seller with the head of the spirit of the dead souls he killed. He took the daughter of his business rival as his girlfriend and kept living like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, the king of Oyo town was still in search of his long-lost wife, Queen Arolake. While Saro was getting rich and fame, Arolake was on a very, very long journey, looking for a greener pasture and better life, running away from her past that haunts her, while the king was in search of Arolake. Almost gave up on the quest. At the end of the first episode, Saro was living recklessly Saru, who was living recklessly, was confronted by the spirit of the dead, helping him out concerning the promise to them to follow them back to the land of the dead. He was lost in thought, devising new means to outsmart them to keep living. Well, in as much as this is a sequel, big kudos to Kunle Afolayan on this one, because after I saw the Anikulapo prequel, I doubt there would be a part 2. But when the trailer of the Anikulapo series came out, I was left pondering on what the screenwriters could have, come up with. They really put a big one. The storyline seems simple and straightforward. In the first episode, we will see if they actually, keep the simplicity in the series of episodes to come. Now it is time to criticize the movie. Let's go. Now, first of all, why was Saru different from the other ghosts? It's understandable that Saru's clothes tore before he died, but he got to Heaven's Gate, or should I say the boundary, living the land of the living, heading towards the land of the dead. And out of all the ghosts, he was the only one who didn't apply Nixodam on his face. Or should I say a white powder? I mean, all the other ghosts on the queue have, a white substance on their face, but he was the exception. Why was that so? He's dead. Even if there was going to be a reincarnation for him, one way or the other, which was not even planned for him to be as he was on that queue. So that does not actually make sense for him to have no white substance on his face. Also, why did Saru's murder victims help him? I mean, instead of forcibly dragging Saru to hell with them, they instead launched a palm wine business and made Saru the CEO. Did they have debt to pay and needed an alive Sola to gather money for them? Their help just does not make sense. I mean, if you have the power to bring palm wine, to make Saru successful, and to even, raise the dead somewhere in the, episodes to come, they can easily actually drag Saru. They can just make him go crazy till he actually follow them back to there. It does not make sense. Someone killed you guys and you guys are helping him out to become CEO and live his best life while you guys are actually dead. It does not make sense. Now, as a Pan-Africanist that Kunle Afolayan is, big respect to him. I love him so much. He's really putting in work. I believe he pulled a big one with this series. What I can't seem to place is that is the man in white guarding the boundary between the land of the living and land of the dead. What's with some Africans and black with the idea of white supremacy? Whites are just humans, just like blacks. The skin color is just mere pigmentation. In fact, they are the one that actually lacks melanin. We are the one that have melanin, like blacks have melanin. So why do we have to make them the center of attraction? Why must the representation of everything holy and sacred be white? Why can't there be a black dude at that boundary? I honestly don't care about the clothes he puts on. Even if there is a black man at the boundary with a white cloth on, I really don't care. So why can't there be a black dude at the boundary? I don't care if he puts a white clothes on, but why must he be on white hair and light skinned? That idea is lame. A larger percentage of people would love the idea of a white or light skinned guy taking the role and wouldn't see anything bad there, but I personally don't think that actually makes sense. In addition, when Saru's spirit returned to the land of the living to kill those he once resurrected, he was meant to carry out that task, but he found the solution while he was at it. He is a spirit no one could see. How was the old blind woman, to be precise, able to see him when it was time to kill the old woman? We were not told of anything spiritual about the woman prior to this scene. How did she even have the knowledge about living rods and how they could be reincarnated enough to come back to the land of the living? Yoruba mythology believes in Akudaya, which means living rods, those that actually died and actually, they were reincarnated back to the land of the living. These are people who have died but are incarnated back to life, but there is no knowledge on the process of how that actually happens. So, I don't seem to place why that woman was even able to have that knowledge or even see Saru. Even if it's a movie and she was able to in that movie she had the knowledge of how reincarnation could be, how was she able to see Saru, that Saru was going to kill her? There was no justification for it. Immediately Saru's spirit got hold of the information. about how he could get back to life and become a living rot. He immediately started making moves. He started by going to pack the remains of his decaying body. What the screenwriters and director of the movie refused to realize is that Saro's spirit can't touch earthly things, just as he could not help the woman up with her goods at the farm because they can't see him and he is a spirit. His body would just pass through whatever earthly things it comes in contact with. That is the same way he shouldn't be able to touch or pack the remains of his body for burial. I mean, he even held a shovel to dig the ground to bury the body. Does Mr. Kunle Afolayan and his screenwriters take some of us for a fool? Spirits carry shovel to bury a body. I mean, I've never been so confused and cracked up in my life. Like, it does not make sense. Absolutely does not make sense. Another mistake was with the makeup artist. Kudos to the makeup artist that designed Saro's dead body on the mountain. He or she did a really good job. The issue now is that they probably lack proper basic biological knowledge. All they want to tell me, bones rot very, very easy. By the time Saro got back to the mountain to pack his remains, the body had already been decaying and birds have eaten the belly to the gods. That is fair enough, actually, which begs the question, what about the bones? Did anyone think about that for a second? I mean, in the decayed part of the body, there are no signs of bones whatsoever. There are no bones in the chest, for ribs, even if they want to place the argument on the fact that the ribs being covered up by the chest undecayed part. What about the vertebral column? You want to tell me there is no backbone whatsoever after it's been shown that the belly decayed from the front inside out? Where on earth is the vertebral column that houses the spinal cord? There's no justification for it. Or do they want to tell me that the birds ate the bones with the flesh? Or what's their defense? This was so funny and annoying at the same time. No bones in the... Come on now. Also, Akala was presumed to be a spiritual bird. How was Arulake able to land a big plank on the bed enough to drop a spiritually potent god charm called Ado in Yoruba? That makes absolutely no sense. She even picked up the charm like nothing happened from a spiritual bird as powerful as Akala, a bird who is powerful enough to run things in both the land of the living and the dead. Make it make sense. Also, those at the market at the beginning of the movie were able to see the bird flying, but I think that was actually a dream, so we might not actually count that as a mistake. It is said that living rods are mostly, doing fine financially when they are reincarnated back to the land of the living. But nobody knows how it works on how they become so successful at every little thing that they do. But Anikulapo explains that spirits of the dead work for him and provide for him. They provide what he eats, and the palm wine he sells for business. they made him a CEO, just like I said earlier. But how does that come to be? Give me something I can work with. Don't tell me spirits were able to cook pap and vegetables with bushmeat to serve Saru, or they were able to go into the farm to harvest palm wine, from the tree. Nothing makes sense of that at all, to be very, very sincere. Once again, there should be perks of being a living rot. Some powers should come with it at least. Even though Saru was, able to become suspicious of Latorera, his business rival's daughter who became Saru's girlfriend, that she was sent by her father to come and spy on him. Saru still went ahead to continue with the relationship. He never learned. He ought to have learned from his past life on how women and greed messed him up. Maybe humans will be humans after all. The first episode didn't come to a really good end for Saru as he was, confronted by the three spirits of those he killed. They challenged him on how he's been using them to provide for him while he lives a lavish life. Saru was left to ponder on what a mess he has gotten himself, and is now lost in thought, devising a means to outsmart them and keep living. Sit tight for episode 2 review and criticism. Well, in summary, Anikulapo episode 1 is really nice. They depict things pretty well. The color grading was good, a really good story, but with poor fact check and directing. The stylist did a good job. I have issues with how they speak the Yoruba language though. It was as if they were no Yoruba people speaking the Yoruba. It was slow and it was kind of draggy and it was pretty annoying. It was as if they were dragging, the language. Well, in general, I'd rate episode 1 a 4/10, but it is still worth the watch actually. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notification bell to get notified whenever we drop new content. Don't forget to drop your thoughts and your opinions in the comment box below. Till next time, peace.